The way you see yourself determines how the world sees you. You are the product of your thoughts, and your mind is the architect of your destiny. If you believe you are insignificant, the world will treat you as such. If you believe you are powerful, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge your presence. The foundation of greatness is not found in external validation, but in the unshakable belief that you were created to stand out. When you wake up in the morning, what you think about yourself is more important than what others think of you. If you convince yourself that you are the best, your actions will naturally align with that belief. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the manifestation of a mind that refuses to entertain inferiority. History has proven time and again that those who change the world are not necessarily the most talented, the most educated, or the most privileged. They are simply the ones who dared to believe that they were destined for something greater. When a person carries themselves with conviction, people listen, doors open, and opportunities gravitate toward them. The world does not reward doubt. It rewards certainty. You don't need permission to be great. No one will hand you a certificate of confidence. It must be cultivated from within. If you act as if you are the best, you begin to develop the habits, mindset, and discipline that elevate you above the rest. You don't wait to feel great, you act great first. Confidence is not something you stumble upon. It is a conscious decision you make daily. There is no such thing as waiting until you are ready, because readiness is a product of action, not hesitation. The most successful people are not always the smartest or the strongest, but they are the ones who refuse to doubt themselves. They walk into every room as if they belong, speak as if their words carry weight, and move as if they have already won. This is not about pretending. It is about stepping into the reality of who you are meant to be. Doubt is a thief that steals opportunities before you even attempt to seize them. It is the silent enemy that convinces you to shrink when you should be standing tall. But when you decide to act as if you are the best, you silence that voice. You train your mind to embrace challenges instead of retreating from them. You approach every task, every conversation, and every obstacle with the mindset that you are already victorious. The moment you choose to believe in your own greatness, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you command attention. These things begin to shift because you have made a decision. Confidence is not given, it is taken. Those who wait to feel ready will always be waiting. Those who decide they are ready create their own success. Your thoughts dictate your actions. Think like the best, and you will act like the best. The mind is the control center of your entire being, shaping the way you move, speak, and respond to life. Every action you take is first conceived in the mind. A person who sees themselves as weak will move hesitantly, but one who believes they are strong will walk with purpose. The mind leads and the body simply follows. When you program your mind with the right thoughts, your actions will align naturally. Consider the difference between someone who expects to win and someone who expects to fail. The one who expects to win stands tall, looks people in the eye, and speaks with conviction. Their posture reflects their inner confidence. On the other hand, the one who expects to fail hesitates, speaks softly, avoids eye contact, and shrinks into the background. They do not realize that their body is simply following the instructions of their mind. The world responds to what you project, and you project what you believe. You cannot afford to let your body move before your mind decides the direction. Athletes do not train their bodies first. They train their minds to see victory before it happens. Leaders do not wait for circumstances to align. They shape circumstances with their belief in what is possible. The greatest achievements in history did not happen by accident. They were first born in the minds of those who refused to see limitations. If you think like the best, act like the best, and carry yourself like the best, the world will have no choice but to treat you as such. Both faith and fear require belief in something unseen. The choice is yours. Fear is not the absence of faith. It is faith in the wrong outcome. It is the belief that something negative will happen even when there is no evidence to support it. Fear is a misuse of imagination, a projection of failure before the event even occurs. The same mental energy used to doubt yourself can be redirected to believe in your success. Every person experiences fear at some point, but those who succeed have trained themselves to choose faith instead. When faced with an uncertain situation, they do not ask, what if I fail? They ask, what if I succeed? This shift in perspective changes everything. Fear makes you hesitate, but faith makes you act. Fear keeps you small, but faith forces you to rise. The mind does not know the difference between faith and fear. It only follows the dominant thought. If you feed your mind with doubt, you will hesitate and miss opportunities. But if you fill your mind with belief, you will move with authority and attract success. Greatness is not achieved by those who avoid fear, but by those who confront it with faith. The most powerful people in the world are not fearless. They simply refuse to let fear make decisions for them. They have chosen to believe that what is ahead is greater than what they fear. Success is not a one-time event, but a series of repeated actions. Greatness is not something that happens in a single moment. It is the result of consistent habits practiced over time. Many people believe that successful individuals were simply in the right place at the right time, but the truth is that their preparation met opportunity. They became great long before anyone noticed because they were disciplined in their habits. If you study the lives of the most accomplished people, you will see a common pattern. They committed to daily routines that sharpened their skills, expanded their knowledge, and strengthened their mindset. Habits shape identity. A person who wakes up early, plans their day, and works with focus will naturally outperform someone who drifts through life without structure. Every habit you develop is either pushing you toward greatness or pulling you away from it. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you handle challenges, all of these are reflections of habits that have been formed over time. If you want to be the best, you must train yourself to think, act, and operate at a higher level every single day. Many people want success, but they are unwilling to commit to the habits that create it. They admire discipline in others, but fail to develop it within themselves. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain average is not talent, but consistency. A person who is consistently improving, learning, and pushing themselves will always rise above those who only work hard occasionally. The best in any field are not the ones who practice when they feel like it. They are the ones who practice whether they feel like it or not. When you value yourself, others will follow. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If you do not respect yourself, you cannot expect others to respect you. Respect is not something you demand from people. It is something you command through your actions, your mindset, and your presence. The world responds to confidence, and confidence comes from knowing your worth. A person who respects themselves does not tolerate mediocrity in their life. They do not allow negativity, laziness, or self-doubt to dictate their actions. They walk with purpose, speak with certainty, and present themselves with dignity. When you value yourself, you do not wait for validation from others because you already know your worth. This inner assurance creates an energy that people can sense. They listen to you differently, speak to you differently, and treat you with the respect that you have already given to yourself. Those who lack self-respect are easily influenced by the opinions of others. They seek approval, change themselves to fit in, and hesitate to stand out. But those who truly respect themselves are not concerned with fitting in. They are focused on rising above. They understand that their value is not determined by external opinions, but by the standards they set for themselves. The moment you recognize your own worth, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge it as well. You don't become the best, you uncover the best version of yourself. Greatness is not something you acquire from the outside. It is something that is already within you, waiting to be revealed. Too many people spend their lives searching for something external to make them feel significant, not realizing that everything they need is already inside them. The difference between those who rise to greatness and those who remain average is that the great ones recognize their own potential and take action to bring it out. Every person is born with unique gifts, talents, and abilities, but these qualities remain dormant until they are developed. A seed already contains the potential to become a tree, but it must be planted, watered, and given the right environment to grow. In the same way, your potential is waiting for you to activate it. The problem is that most people never take the time to cultivate what is inside them. They allow distractions, doubts, and fears to keep them from becoming who they were meant to be. Instead of digging deep and developing their strengths, they settle for what is easy and familiar. To uncover your best self, you must be willing to push beyond your current limits. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you challenge yourself, take risks, and step into situations that force you to improve. The best version of you is not found in avoiding difficulties, but in facing them head on. Every challenge is an opportunity to discover how strong, capable, and intelligent you really are. The moment you stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as stepping stones, you begin unlocking your true potential.
When it comes to planning your life, I want to get you to learn to ask 3 questions now. And the first one is not, what am I going to do? And how many understand why now? Say I. The question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want? What's my outcome? What's my result? The word RPM, the first one is to get you focused on the target. The target is not the activity. The activity can change. It's what's the result I'm after. If you know exactly what it is you really want, what you desire, what you're really after, clarity is power. The more clear you are and specifically what you want, the faster your brain can get you there. But if you're generally saying things like, what do I want? Well, I want more money. Fine, here's $1, get out of here. Did you achieve the outcome? Yeah, when you're that general, you think you're not getting your goal, you are. The way you language your goal, the way you think about it, you're receiving it. I want to feel a bit better. I want to lose some weight. Fine, you lost a pound, you're done. Because your brain's like a servo mechanism in a bomb and a missile. The old days, you shoot a missile and the target was going, and if you missed the trajectory, you missed it. Today, what happens when the missile's not on course? What happens? It locks on the heat signature, and what does it do? It moves and follows it. That's the way your brain is if it knows the outcome, if it knows the result. So RPM starts with, I got to know the result. This is a results planning system. The rapid planning method, you can think of it as a results planning system. I need to know the result I'm after before I ever ask myself what to do. That takes more time, but it's worth it. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to do this with you right now, but I'll tell you what I do when I've taught this to people and I've got a full weekend to do this in. Just give you a picture. If I asked you right now to write out your name, your full name. Now, some of you abbreviate your signature, but write out your full name in cursive. Go and do that one time. Write your full name in cursive. I can't even use the word cursive. Is that really the word people still use? It means in handwriting, I guess, but in cursive. Just write it out full name, because you can do this later on. Now, if I had you get with a partner, and you can try this later if you want, I'm just going to tell you because I don't want to take the time, because we have such limited time today. And I have your partner say to you with a stopwatch here, okay, ready? And I go, go. And you write it out. You tell me when you're done. And it'll stop. And I write down how long that was. So let's say you wrote out your signature and it took 5 seconds. And then say, ready? Write it out. Ready? Go. You tell me you're done. Stop. And I write down 5 seconds. I have to do that 10 times. You'll find in the beginning, you'll be, let's say, 6 seconds. I'm making it up. Every signature is different. And you probably might get down to as little as 5 seconds. If you have like an iPhone, you could do it as a digital stopwatch. You could see the milliseconds. Then I say to you, I want you guys to write every other letter in cursive. In other words, you're going to write half as many letters. How long do you think it would take to do it? Half as much time? Most of you will take twice as much time in the beginning, and then eventually, what's interesting is, if I do it 10 times, and the last 2 or 3, and this makes no logical sense, and again, I don't want to take the time to have all of you do this 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, but you can go do it on your own, I'll just tell you the result. In most cases, even though you're doing half as many letters, you cut it by 2/3 the time. There's something happens when you break an old pattern and you do it fresh. Your brain over the years has learned ways to move more rapidly since you did your original signature, and you'll do it in 1/3 the amount of time. It'll take twice as much at first, and then it'll cost you 1/3 amount of time. Now, let me tell you why I'm telling you this. The system I'm calling the rapid planning method, by the time I show it to you, you're going to go, this takes more time than just making my to-do list. It will win. When will it take more time? When? Initially. But once you get it in your nervous system, it'll take you less time because your brain will be thinking in outcomes and not activities. And when you think in terms of outcomes and not activities, pretty soon, some of the activities on your list you don't even need to do to get the outcome. You find a better way to get the outcome quicker. Now, how do you do that? Yes, 3 questions. Question 1, what is my result? What is my outcome? What is it I really, truly want from this? If you're going back next week, and you say this next week, what are the most important what? Outcomes for me to get this week in my business? And you just write those outcomes out, not your action items, the outcomes. If you do that and nothing else, you'll be ahead of the game. And if you just keep looking at those outcomes every day, how am I doing on that outcome? Your brain will come up with ways to get to that outcome. I promise you. Focus on outcomes, not on activities. Action for most people. Activities, most people may mistake movement for achievement. They mistake action items and to-dos for achievement. We're after the achievement. Are you with me on this? Yes or no? It's a different way of thinking, and I think all of you inherently have it. But if you make this ritualized, just like the things you've learned this week, they're all great. But if you don't systematize them, they'll work when you do them. But if you systematize them, right? And you see like Mr. Holloman here, where he goes in and just does it and makes sure it's being done again, or what you've seen Chet do, or what I do. You just do it over and over again. You don't miss it. Now the results are geometric. So I want to get you to systematize the thinking, whether you do it visually the way I'm going to show you or not. So, first question, what's the result I'm after? What's the ultimate result? What do I want out of this week, out of this thing, out of my business, out of my life, for my body? And you want to be as what as possible when you describe that outcome, that result, is what? As clear and specific as possible. Generalities will confuse you. So it might take you longer than just writing down call so-and-so to think, if I'm calling my son, I'm going to call Jarek, or I'm going to call my brother. This is what goes through my head before I call him, always. What's my outcome? Because I don't want to just call him. I want Jarek to feel loved by his dad. Or I'm thinking about what's my outcome. I've got to talk to him about this thing that's out there. I've got to make sure I get through to him on this because I want to guide him and move him in this direction. That's what I want to be as his father. I want to just chit-chat. I can do that too. So if you think before every phone call, before every time you're planning your day, and you think before you have any meeting, what do you think the first thing I ask of anyone when we sit down in a meeting is? Okay, what are your outcomes? What are the outcomes for this meeting? First thing I want to know, because if I know the outcomes, guess what? A lot of meetings, they're done pretty quick. Because if I know the outcome, you don't have to go through all the activities to sell me on it. Just, that's your outcome? How do you want to do it? Sounds good to me. Rock. That's how you make a meeting productive. I know a meeting's productive not by the hours or time. Sometimes it takes longer to get the outcome than you want, but I'm going to get the outcome. That's, by the way, what you see with me on stage. That's why my times vary, because it's based on an outcome. I'm going to get that outcome. I don't give a damn whether it's the right time or not. I want to do it at a time, but I must deliver the outcome. I'm going to get that. And by the way, how many like to have your company focused on outcomes, results, and not activities? Say, People say all the time, well, did you get that done? Well, I left them an email. I left them a voicemail. I've sent them 3 emails. How many times have you heard that? When that happens with me, I'm like, but I don't show it. I just like, really? Wow, that's fascinating. We'll explain about our culture. It's about getting the result. So I can help you if you can't figure another way to do it, but there may be 12 other things we might want to do. Maybe they don't have the answer. Maybe somebody else can give us the answer. The outcome was to get this information, not to leave an email or 12 or 3 voicemails. That will not do any of us any good. How many follow? I work out. I train my mind. I train my body. It becomes a lifestyle. It's not just like you're depending upon somebody else. I'm not here to become somebody's guru. I'm not here to give them a gift. I'm here for them to open up their own gifts. And that's really what my work has been.